welcome to Flamecast. This is Todd Platz.
This is Wesley Swingley.
And we're talking to...
On location.
Well, yeah. Actually face to face. It's not over TeamSpeak this time.
This is going to be weird.
Yeah. You get to see each other's reactions. Which
yeah, I don't know about that.
Maybe we should do more video chats in the subsequent ones where we can see each other's reactions.
I think half the time I'm staring off into space trying to think of something that I'm forgetting. So.
Yeah, that's probably me too. And usually when I'm doing them, it's like I haven't even gotten ready for the day and like my hair's all over the place. So.
That might make it more fun for me then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since we've actually done a podcast. We were supposed to have one about a month ago. Didn't turn out. Travis said he was going to be there, and then he wasn't. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to kind of go through.
Yeah, what happened, man?
This is actually Flamecast number 40. We've gotten to 40 of them now. And I should almost look at the breakdown. I wonder if you've been in maybe half of them by now?
No.
Well, at least 10.
I think this may be number 5 or 6.
No, it's got to be more than that.
That makes me feel old. No, yeah, it's good to be here. We're sitting here in a room surrounded by different toys. Todd's probably always surrounded by toys, but he's surrounded by different toys today.
I have toys in my car, actually.
Yeah.
I do have, because I'm collecting the figures for doing more figures in action, no longer action directions, it's figures in action. I've got Venom and Carnage in my car.
I was going to ask if you changed the name because it was less Trek.
Exactly.
More action.
Well, actually in action because they're action figures that don't move. So they're in action. But, yeah, we've got this awesome looking Millennium Falcon over here.
The gigantic Lego Millennium Falcon.
And the price tag on this was...
I choose not to answer that question. $800. It's ridiculous. And
if you would like to see this, Wes's address is...
I will lock my doors. Yeah, so the story is that I've told most people who know me that when I was in Japan, I think the first year I was in Japan was 2006, and the Lego Millennium Falcon Ultimate Collector's Edition came out. Mm-hmm. And my local electronics / toy store had one of them in stock for $300. At the time, I was just out of my PhD, making an okay amount, but I wasn't going to blow $300 on a toy. Yeah. And so I told Mariah, my wife, if I get a job, I'm applying for jobs. If I get a job, then I'll buy that. And I didn't get a job for a couple of years. And then it was gone. And then, of course, those went on eBay for like $2,500. And so I never got one. So when this one was announced, I said, I have to get it because I owe it to myself.
There you go.
I missed out. So. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, here I thought when I show up, it would still be unassembled. So.
Yeah, right. You don't know me. You don't know me well at all. I actually got it the day before I had to leave. Part of the reason I couldn't join last month for the podcast was because I had a work trip, and it was like a week-long work trip, and I got this the day before. So I did, I think, one bag of it, like 1 hour of work. I had to do something on it just for fun, but then I had to wait a week before I could touch it again.
Yeah.
So that was killing me.
That would.
But it was, really fun Lego building. I was actually worried that it would have too many Greedleys. For those who don't know, Greedleys on models are those little crappy bits on the outside that the original modelers, when they were making these for Star Wars, they just had a ton of model kits around, and they would just grab random garbage pieces from other things and stick them on the outside so it looked So it looked interesting. And Star Wars is probably the worst for that. Star Wars has little bits of crap all over everything. And in the Lego sets, that ends up being really tedious.
Yeah.
Little bits everywhere. This wasn't so bad. I was kind of terrified.
Yep. That's a neat looking piece there.
Yeah, it's like a 25-pound object that you have to pick up in a certain way or it'll just fall apart. Todd already broke a piece off of it.
Yeah, trying to get the landing or the ramp down, and grabbed it in the wrong spot there. But, easily fixable, just one little piece.
The beauty of Lego. But yeah.
Yeah, awesome. In the meantime, gosh, I've been to Comic-Con. This was the Midwest. I'm trying to read my writing here. The MCBA, Midwest Comic. What does B stand for?
This is why I have my iPad out, so I can look things up for you, solve everything for you.
Oh, that's got to be book. Midwest Comic Book Association.
Yeah.
Fall Comic-Con. And, Corey and I went to that, and, Corey is in transition now, as far as his job.
He's going to be a female? Oh.
That would be really scary.
Does Corey listen to this? I hope so after that comment.
If he's one of our 7 or 8 listeners, I don't know. But,
sorry, he's in transition.
Yeah, he's in between jobs right now. Okay. He quit his old job, and he's waiting for something better to appear here. And he thought he had a good in at the Land O'Lakes place in Pine Island, but looks like he couldn't get in there, so we'll see what he does. But in the meantime, I think he's being a little stingy on his money, because last year's Comic-Con, I think he spent in the neighborhood of $400 or $500. This year, I think he did buy some comics, but I mean, it was nowhere near what he bought last year. In the meantime, I spent like $100 worth of stuff.
Yeah, this is right now, where it just ended one of the big board game conventions in Germany, the Essen Spiel, and I haven't gone yet. I do really want to go, but I'm afraid that if I go, I'm just going to spend like $1,000 on board games.
That's a friend my Chris has. We've invited him to like the big Wizard World Comic-Cons, and he's like, if I go, I'm just going to spend way too much money.
Yeah.
Set limits onto yourself. I mean, a lot of these dealers, it's getting more and more where some will take credit and debit cards.
Right, yeah, the Square helps a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But for the most part, you want to use cash, and it's like, well, I brought $100 in cash, and that's how you kind of limit yourself. And if you feel like you're going over and there's still more stuff you want to buy, haggle with the people, because they want to get rid of their stuff too. So,
right,
which is what I did with my last, I think it was $23. There was like I want to say there was almost $30 worth of comics that I was getting in my last bunch from the last dealer. And I'm like, will you take 23? And he looked him over and was like, okay. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, there we go. There's my limit. So
we had gone to Dragon Con a couple times, and I thought I would spend a lot more money than I actually did. I think for me, a lot of it for something that big was being overwhelmed. Like, I didn't buy much because I would see something, and then I would see something else cool before I even worried about buying that. Yeah. And then I would just kind of daisy chain and never end up buying anything.
That was the thing. One of the first dealers I went to, it's like, okay, yeah, they've got some of the comic books I need. And then it's like, are they really going to go anywhere if I go and kind of walk around and then come back? Right. Probably not, so.
and then you forget about it, or lose
No, I
interest?
ended up finding a better dealer
Yeah,
that had
that
better
too.
prices, so I'm like, kind of glad I did that. Yeah, and then they were giving out. I wish I could remember the name of this game. They were giving out a game. They just had stacks and stacks of them, and I ended up taking two. I know Corey
On
took
record.
one as well, but yeah, the retail price was like, $30 on the thing. But I think the game was like 10 years old. So I'm not sure what the deal was behind that, but I'm like that
They thought it was going to be more popular than it was.
maybe, but yeah, I surely wasn't expecting that. Having a free game, because they do the same Comic-Con in the spring than they do in the fall. However, the fall one seems to be, well, I think maybe it might have been a little higher priced as far as admission goes. Because I want to say last time we went, it was like, $5, and now they upped it to like almost double.
Yeah,
So
it's still cheap. Still worth
Yeah.
going to.
it's not like those Wizard World ones where you're paying, $30-$40, whatever for.
I think like Dragon Con and Comic Con, Comic Con especially, is out of control. The San
Yeah.
Diego Comic Con is hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, that's just nuts.
Yeah,
I mean, I can see if they're doing a, multi-day and you're actually going each day, and then they're charging that. Then, I mean, that's kind of what we did with the Star Wars celebrations.
right.
3 days worth, and it was around $90, $30 a day. That's not actually bad.
Yeah, and I think I can't remember a Dragon Con price, but I think it was like that, a weekend pass or a 3-day pass for $60 or $70.
Oh, that's decent.
I can't remember. I may be totally misremembering.
I mean, when I was going to the Star Trek conventions in the Twin Cities, mid '90s, yeah, they were getting to the point where it was like a 1-day pass was, around $30 at that point.
Did you see that the national parks, some of the big national parks are going to be more than doubling their
Yes.
price? Like Yosemite and Yellowstone are going to be $70, I think, a day for a car,
Yeah,
which is going to kill them.
exactly. Like, thanks, Mr. Trump.
Yeah, we won't talk about that here.
Yeah.
We do talk about aliens, so he almost fits the bill.
A couple of the booths that I went to there was one that was, it wasn't as interesting as, there was one last year where it was basically a glorified figures in action type thing, because he had shots of his action figures, but they were in like, real settings.
Mm-hmm.
So, you take them out and actually put like 2 Ewoks standing on a cliff, with forest in the background and stuff like that. Which kind of got me thinking, geez, I need to step up my game. But,
Was it digital background or?
no,
he
these
made-
look like real backgrounds.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah, even if I had like a digital background, I could green screen these guys.
Right.
Although the program that I use for green screening, I don't have anymore, so I got to find something else. But this year there was one not quite as good, but this guy has a company called Sci-O-Rama, SCI, and then a big O, which on the business card is actually a Death Star.
I didn't even read it. I just read Sci-Rama.
Yeah.
It got hidden.
And it's, like miniature dioramas. And what you do is take, the little figures and ships that you would get from the Micro Machines, Star Wars Micro Machines,
Mm-hmm.
and then stick them in, these environments that he'd make up. And they would be like in a, some small, almost like a, those when secrets actually came in those metal cases, it kind of looked like something like that, where, I mean, you wouldn't be able to close it anymore because all the crap's in there now.
Altoids case as well. Right?
Yeah. But yeah, some of them were kind of enclosed, others were open like that. And like, yeah, it looks kind of interesting, but for the prices he was asking, I probably wouldn't do it. Sorry, guy. You're probably not listening, but if you are, well. And then another guy that I saw there, this is Cedric Konstad. And I saw the name, well, I saw his booth, and I saw some of the drawings that he had there. I'm like, yeah, those look kind of interesting. And a lot of these dealers, or, you know, whoever they are, they always have business cards in front, or most of them. And I saw the name, I'm like, holy crap, I know that guy. And it turns out that, what was that, my last year of high school, I went to this, they called them PIP Fest, like PIP stood for Partners in Prevention.
Okay. And
it is mainly, you know, getting all these people together, and, you know, high school students, and there would be, you know, adults there for kind of facilitating everything, but, you know, people would have talks about, you know, issues that kids would have during that point in their lifetime. And I'd only gone to the one, and yeah, I ended up meeting Cedric there. And he even drew in my book at that point. I got
he was another kid there?
Yep. Yeah, he was from, I want to say, was it Watertown? Watertown or Waterville, Minnesota? It was a water something or other. But,
cool.
Yeah, and he's done stuff for Hasbro, Disney, Coca-Cola, General Mills. Like, wow.
I can't believe you would remember him. It was a long time ago when you were a kid, Tom.
Yeah, well, let's see, that was 89. So that was how many years ago?
A lot of years ago.
Yeah, almost 30 years. And, but he was like the main person I hung out with there. Gotcha. So that's how I kind of remembered him. So.
Did he remember you, or did he just act like he remembered you?
You know, I was trying to gauge that. Like, did he actually remember? I think he actually did, though. It was kind of vague for him, maybe, but I think he really did remember. Like, oh, that's good.
It's funny, you remember things differently from other people. And so I had a girlfriend in high school, and I had talked to her, I don't know, a decade later or something like that, and made a comment that we were always hanging out at her house. And she's like, I thought we were always hanging out at your house. And so we both thought we were hanging out at the other's house more often, and it must just be a perception thing. What's normal for you, you kind of ignore. But if it's in a different setting, then your brain remembers that more. So that was really interesting.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, that was my Comic-Con experience, I guess.
Very cool. Yeah, I have no nerdy experiences, unfortunately.
I guess we've been doing, well, at least I have been doing a lot of TV watching lately.
Same.
And, well, first of all, we've got the Battle of the Treks. Because we've had Star Trek Discovery. And which...
How much have you watched?
Well, let's see. What is it? Did I watch the last episode?
What are they on?
I think I've watched the
6
last
or something right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're that far.
I don't know. I've
more
only
like
watched the first 2.
They might have 4 of them out.
Okay.
Maybe a 5th one is tonight.
I've only watched 2, and part of the reason for that is not disinterest, but it's just kind of wanting to let him build up so that I can binge or catch up all at once.
Yeah, the last one was probably... Was it the last one or second to last one? Everything's just running together. It was one of those two. It was probably the best of the bunch so far. Only because, I mean, seems like such a dark show.
I've heard dark.
Yeah.
Everybody says it's dark. It doesn't feel like Star Trek. It's
Right.
good, but it doesn't feel like Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about it.
Right.
Calling it good or not.
Right.
I mean, it's
It's hard.
watchable.
Like 4 or 5 episodes in, that's tough to make that call.
Yeah, there's that too.
That's kind of why I want to watch them all at once, because then I feel like I have less of that time to speculate about, hemming and hawing about what I think about it in between, so that I watched the pilot, 2 episodes, which was a good encapsulated thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then, like, spoilers, but there were some of the characters from that I'll probably miss, that I've heard bad things about the captain.
Yeah.
But I liked Michelle Yeoh. I thought
I agree.
She was a great character, and one of the criticisms I've heard from the other episodes, and you can back this up or not, is that a lot of the characters are just a bit boring, like just kind of background.
Yeah.
And Michelle Yeoh was like kind of witty, sarcastic, and
Mm-hmm.
so.
Yeah. That's probably one of my least critical things about the show. Well, the things that really stood out for me right away was, okay, the technology should not be like that.
Right, it's pre-Kirk, is that right?
Right, it's supposed to be like 10 years before.
Yeah.
And they say that it's supposed to be in the Prime universe, not the Kelvin universe,
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no frickin' way.
Yeah, the displays, they already had transparent displays and stuff like that, right?
And they've got a holodeck, and I'm like, really?
The holodeck was well, and they had that, the communicator that's a holographic projection.
Yeah.
It's crappy, but still, they never had that in the original series.
They didn't have that until Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
And it was new for them then.
Yeah. So I don't know why they had that in this.
No. Another beef I have is with the uniforms.
They're samey for me. They all look identical to me.
Yeah. And especially the insignia.
Mm-hmm.
If they went and looked at what was in the original series, every ship had its own insignia. They did not all have the Delta symbol.
Gotcha.
Yet, in this show, that's the symbol of Starfleet. It's like...
I just don't know why they would choose... Is it just 2 colors? They have the silver leaf and the gold leaf. And it's like gold threading and silver threading, and so you can hardly see it from far away. And they could have chosen any other colors than silver and gold. Silver and gold look too similar from each other. So...
All of a sudden, I'm thinking Burl Ives.
Silver and gold. Hey, Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as Todd knows, since I just showed him a Halloween prop that I was making, like, if you paint something white with gold, it actually turns out silver, strangely enough.
That was weird.
They're very, very similar to one another. But, and I like the actress, why am I forgetting her name? I totally know her name, but I can't think of it right now. But anyway, the woman who plays Michael.
Oh, yeah.
I like her a lot, and I think she's a very good actress in that role, but in the pilot at least, and hopefully this isn't spoilers for anybody because it's in the first 2 episodes, like, she makes some pretty shady decisions, and then you're supposed to think of her as the main character. And this isn't necessarily like Kirk, telling the Admiral to go shove it and then saving his people. This is her just going on her own and, like, essentially... What is she? She knocks out her own captain to go off and do her own thing. So.
I mean, I know they had said before that premiered that it would be more following one of the lower ranked characters than going with the captain, like has been the norm. But just seems kind of odd.
Yeah, I like that perspective. Does it keep that perspective through the other episodes? It's mainly following her, or does it switch more to the captain?
I would say with this last episode, it was getting close to 50-50.
Well,
So.
you can argue that Star Trek has never necessarily followed one character. I think maybe the original
Right.
series is more Kirk-centric than the other series, but none of the other series really had a main single character.
No, and going from Next Generation forward, I'd say most of the episodes had your A plot, and it also
Yeah.
had your B plot.
Which did start to annoy me after a while, especially like late in Next Generation, where like, okay, now here's this stupid side plot with like, the ghost of Mark Twain or something, and then we actually have something that matters.
Or you've got some major thing happening, but you're dealing with Worf and his son at the same time. It's
Right. Yeah, isn't there a war? Isn't there an intergalactic war going on? I'm sorry, we should probably focus on that. Other than like Julian and what's his face's darts game.
O'Brien.
O'Brien,
Yeah.
Julian and O'Brien, two of my least favorite characters in all of Star Trek, together at the same
Really?
time.
See, DS9 was my favorite show out of all of them, actually. And, the dynamic between the two, at first they hated each other.
Mhm.
They're
It's because they're
characters.
both jackasses. They hated each other because
They can be.
everybody else hates them. Everybody hates Julian. Like, you can tell the other characters on the show hate Julian. That's the fun thing to watch. I think they clearly were told as actors, like, nobody likes this guy.
Well, it was a lot like that at the beginning. As you got near the end of the series, I think it was more.
I
They
still
liked
don't
each
like
other
Julian.
more, I think. But
I never liked O'Brien, and so him being one of the carryover characters was really annoying. It's like,
he was all right
I was happy when he left Next Generation.
until he came back in the series finale.
Yeah.
And then my biggest grump with the show is the Klingons.
The Klingons are bad.
God.
I've only watched 2 episodes, and I hated them the whole time. They're...
I mean, for one, they're not supposed to look like this at all.
Right.
Second, their ships and technology. I mean, I think it was the last episode, or maybe the second last episode again. But they said they were encountering a D7 class Klingon cruiser, and it didn't look anything like what a D7 should look like. I'm just like...
I mean, they've clearly changed some things. So by changing the Klingon look, by changing the Vulcan powers, as it were, like, they've changed the universe a little bit. And that's okay, I guess. Because the Klingon look between the original series and Next Generation is pretty drastic as well. But it's not as drastic as this. And my issue, very similar to the suits, is that it ends up being samey. The only Klingon that you can tell is any different is the albino, because he's albino, but all the other ones essentially look exactly the same. Maybe I'm just
racism?
a racist.
We're Klingon racists.
Klingon racist. And I hate the look. I really hate the look of the new Klingons. I don't know if I'll get used to it.
And
why didn't they just make them a different race? Why didn't they just make a race that's something new, that doesn't have to be Klingons, doesn't have to be the same old storyline?
Well, I think what they're building up to is going to be, the Klingon War, and because that was going on at about that time.
They need new stories.
Which leads to a whole other thing with Star Trek Axanar, and no wonder they sued Axanar, because they were kind of stepping on the same timeline there.
Yeah.
But
that was pretty clear when they first announced some of the details of Discovery.
Yeah.
Discovery.
But,
the other problem. One other major problem with Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
Huge problem.
Okay.
STD.
Yes. Yeah, aren't they trying to... I think Paramount's trying to do it as DIS or something like that. But
They would.
it's Star Trek Discovery, STD. So. See, yeah, right there. It's like... But, yeah, another thing along the Klingon lines is, for the most part, it's all Klingon language and subtitles.
Oh, yeah. That's an interesting choice.
Which I can kind of see. I mean, yeah, it's their language. That's what they're speaking. However, I got to do this. I got to pull from Kevin Smith. But he was saying, couldn't they do it like, how they did dialogue for The Hunt for Red October?
Yeah, exactly. And
you're speaking Klingon, and then they make that switch to transfer over, and all of a sudden it's English.
Hunt for Red October is the one that I think people point out the most, but it's been done in so many movies. The assumption is that they're speaking that language. It's not that they're speaking English. Mm-hmm. And you can always do scenes where, and there's another movie that did this really well, where the characters are talking in English when you watch them by themselves, but then when another, in Hunt for October, for example, if an American comes up, then they hear Russian.
Right.
And it's in Russian.
Yeah.
And they could do it that way so that, for one, the poor actors don't have to speak Klingon the whole time. And for two, I know I watch a lot of foreign movies, so I'm fine with subtitles, but most Americans hate subtitles.
Yeah.
So they're losing a lot of audience right there.
And you're spending so much on, the time to do the makeup and all that, and
you can't look at it.
A lot of the times you're looking at the words and not the pictures on the screen. So,
well, I almost had the opposite in the pilot, that there's so much going on visually, and the Klingons are so wet and shiny for no apparent reason that I was distracted by them, and I wasn't reading the subtitles as well as I should have. So, we'll see. Yeah,
well, and then they've already been renewed for a second season.
I saw that.
So,
I mean, that's good. Then I can at least let it. And this is also why I'm waiting. I'm kind of letting it ride to see if I get to the end of the season and everybody I know tells me just don't watch it. Then I've saved myself some time.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people have a beef with CBS just because CBS you have to do the CBS All Access.
That's my other problem.
Yeah. I mean, we already have it anyways because we don't have cable or satellite, so Rachel's got to watch her NCIS and her Young and the Restless and things like that. So, we can fit Discovery in there then.
May as well.
So. But just so all networks don't start doing this. Right. I mean, it's nice that the others are mainly using services like Hulu where they don't have to...
Well, that's the thing. Like, we have all of these centralized areas. In the video game world, it's much like... we were talking earlier about Battlefront. It's much like EA. EA insists on having their own little garden of gaming with Origin. They don't put their games on Steam where everybody else does. It has to cost them sales, even though they have big games. And if you're insisting on not putting your stuff on Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon, then it seems like a bad idea. Well, and the frustrating thing is Discovery is on Netflix. In Europe.
In Europe, yeah, right.
So there's not really any excuse. There's already a tie with Netflix. So I'm curious if it'll come out on Netflix after the season is over.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll wait for that too.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Because, or maybe it won't. Because you go and try to find, well, I know you wouldn't, but go and try to find previous seasons of Big Bang Theory.
Oh, okay.
They only go back a few episodes on CBS, and then they don't have anything prior to that. Any previous seasons, they're just not out there.
They're not on CBS All Access?
Nope.
Why wouldn't they put their own show
Exactly.
on their own network? Is it just sell DVDs or something?
Maybe.
It's
But
weird.
yeah, it just...
That seems like the entire point of... Because
Yeah.
FX and Fox both, I think, have their VOD services they're free and they're just for back catalog. Like you can watch all the Simpsons episodes ever if you have the Fox app
Yeah.
or the FX app.
So, yeah. CBS is doing a few things wrong there.
That's weird.
You know, just... well, I think... Didn't they change their service so you could actually go non-commercials if you pay a higher price?
For what, the all access?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I think there might be an option for that now, but
I actually
I know Corey's problem is I don't want to watch commercials anymore.
Well, I was
And-
going to say I had assumed that CBS All Access was no commercials.
Yeah, you're
But it's
paying. It's like they're double dipping, really.
Wow.
They're getting the advertising money, plus they're
Yeah,
making
that's
everyone
crazy.
pay for it too. So
That's really crazy. Now I definitely don't want to get it.
yeah, which then you'll probably have to wait for me to
Share your password.
download them, and
I'm sharing passwords with a lot of friends on all these different services. You know, you get so many
Oh,
of these
yeah, there's
services, then
yeah.
one person has Hulu, one person has Stars, one person has HBO.
Yeah. Well, and then there's the other Star Trek show, which is not Star Trek. But if you've seen the Orville,
Oh, yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. So have you been watching it?
oh yeah.
So-
I missed the last episode because I just haven't had
we've
time.
watched it.
but-
The last episode was not very good. The one before it, was it the one before it? Which was the one with the racism, like the baby, where they had to decide to convert the
Oh.
gender of the baby?
Yeah, that was a few episodes ago, actually.
So I was telling Mariah during that episode that I have a major problem with the show because they're missing the mark. So clearly it's Seth MacFarlane, who's an idiot, and wants to make his crass, dirty comedy. But that part of it is, it's not all that funny, right? It doesn't have that many jokes.
Right.
But then the storylines are insanely good
Yes.
and super deep Star Trek, especially this one about the baby gender
Right,
thing.
right.
Super deep Star Trek storyline. But then it's almost ruined by the weird bits of mediocre humor.
I think, if they toned down the humor so it was more, I guess, family friendly,
Right.
maybe they'd be better off. Because I don't know if... I think it was a later episode where they had a thing going on between... I can't think of the names now of all the
I don't remember
characters,
the
but
names.
there's the android, and the helmsman goes and does a
The
practical
prank.
joke on him. Yeah. Mr. Potato Head face.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, you got to get me back. And yeah, what he does is just hilarious.
Yes, that I knew he was going to go too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, so things like that are good, but then a lot of especially Seth MacFarlane and some of the other guys, a lot of the wordplay humor are just not funny at all. And I don't know if I'm just sick of Seth MacFarlane at this point in my life.
Well, see, I haven't really watched too many other things that he's, had a hand in, so I guess it's more fresh to me.
Well, part of my problem is I think he's a good writer, but he's not a good actor, and so having himself in this doesn't necessarily help. A Million Ways to Die in the West was pretty dreadful.
I never did
mostly.
see that one.
It's bad mostly because of him, not because of the writing or the comedy. But yeah, so you have the same impression that it is actually a better Star Trek show than Star Trek Discovery.
Yes, definitely. It feels more like, it's coming from the same universe as Next Generation and such.
Yeah, the storylines were surprisingly good. Maybe the first episode was a bit shaky, but then they got really, really good storylines, and all the characters are really even though you can't remember the names, are more developed.
Mm-hmm.
Each character is different and interesting, whereas Discovery, I felt like a lot of the characters are just background cardboard cutouts.
And with the it almost seems like the critics are, they've got like a prejudgment
for Seth MacFarlane.
So he has a show. Oh, let's just rip it apart. So you look at like Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's where it was, and it's like less than 20% for the critics, but then you look at the audience score, and it's like polar opposite.
Yeah, I think part of that is the tone, and we were talking earlier. Todd and I were talking about a bad movie that my friends have a bad movie night, and we watched Troll 2, which is just so awful that it's watchable. And a lot of people probably have bad movie nights for that same reason. And so if something is so awful, it will be good again. If something is not quite awful enough, then it's terrible, right? So I think the show is on the other side of things, where it is very good. It has a lot of very good elements, but the things that, for me, like the comedy bits and stuff like that, throw it off so much that it makes it feel worse than it actually is. Because of that tonal difference, tonal dissonance between the two things. If it had stupid storylines, I might actually enjoy it better as a comedy show. I don't know.
Yeah, and I know they tried to bill it as a comedy, right off the bat, but
that may have been a problem too for ratings and stuff like that.
That could be. But like you said, the drama part of it is, I think, what's carrying it. Yeah. Really.
I'm curious to see how it'll go if it gets renewed or canceled or anything.
Well, supposedly, I just read earlier this week, well, I suppose last week now, but that it was Fox's third highest rated show right now.
Cool.
So I would think that would get another season.
Yeah, you never know anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're at I was talking with a friend the other day about, as much as we're in, like, probably one of the highest points in television that I can remember in terms of quality of shows and variety of shows.
Yeah.
Maybe we're past the peak, but, in the last 5 years. And I think we're at an all-time low, in my opinion, in trailer production. So movie trailers, TV trailers, things like that. For one, a lot of them are doing the same garbage. And then you have the Rogue One problem, where they're showing 90% of the trailer is not in the movie.
Right.
And then I just saw a movie, The Foreigner, the Jackie Chan movie,
mm-hmm.
where the trailer makes it look like a Jackie Chan movie, and that's not what it is. And so I think the movie did very poorly because it looked like a Jackie Chan movie, and it's really just a drama. Jackie Chan is actually not in it as much as you think he is. And then the other one that was a certifiable bomb is Blade Runner 2049, and that may be on your list to talk about. But Blade Runner had the same problem, where the trailer is targeted at old white guys who watched the first Blade Runner. Mm-hmm. And so I heard from a lot of people who didn't know Blade Runner that the trailer just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't tell you what the movie is going to be, or tell you what type of movie it's going to be. So I think the people who are making trailers just suck right now.
Yeah.
So is Blade Runner on your list?
It is, but we'll get to that.
Down the list. Oh,
yeah,
geez.
Down the list.
I can't transition smoothly. Sorry.
Yeah. Otherwise, I've been trying to keep up with all the DCW shows.
I've heard very bad things about what's the Iron Fist. I've heard very bad things. Oh no, DC. Sorry.
Yeah, DC.
Yeah. Too many things to keep track of. What's DC have right now?
Well, I mean, they've got Flash, Arrow,
okay,
Supergirl,
those are all continuing.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay, is that a new one?
No, that's in its second year.
Okay.
I believe. Second year? Third year.
I thought DC had a new one this year.
They will have Black Lightning, but that's... I think they're going to do that in February, I believe. That's it.
Can
Yeah,
Black Panther and Black Lightning fight? That sounds exciting.
Well, one's DC, one's Marvel, so probably not.
It's happened.
Yeah. But, yeah, those shows...
Is Gotham still running?
Yeah, Gotham is still on.
I catch the end of episodes of Gotham. It must be running right before Orville or something.
I believe so. Yeah, they're both on Thursdays. Yeah, each of them have been okay. Nothing really too exciting, I guess. But, I mean, as long as they have... Well... See, now... Well... Okay, spoilers. They've killed off Ra's al Ghul in Gotham. And you can't kill him off. I mean...
Yeah, comic books don't kill off anybody, right? Maybe they'll come back.
Well, I mean... He's the leader of the League of Assassins, and that's who Bruce is supposed to go and train with, and then come back to Gotham. And
did he kill him in Batman Begins?
Yeah, he supposedly killed him then. But
supposedly killed him.
Unless Liam Neeson can come back again, but...
Liam Neeson can always come back.
I don't know if you noticed who plays Ra's al Ghul in Gotham.
I haven't watched any of the show, so who plays him?
Our good Dr. Bashir from Deep Space Nine.
Okay, so I've seen him on the little bits, that I have on my DVR before Orville, and so I was curious who he was.
Yeah.
He's shown up on occasional things.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a very crappy role on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was in Game of Thrones, and that didn't last too long.
Bad character. If you've read the books, the people who read the books really hated his representation. Not his fault, I think, the writing. Just, they made him very, very, very anemic and crappy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Another Star Trek show that you might want to catch. Star Trek Continues. They put on another episode.
I've not... I have it on my YouTube watch list, and I've just not started it yet.
But you've seen the others?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, dude. If you like the original series at all, this show is
No, I've told
awesome.
you, I've never watched the original series, and that has to... We're finishing Deep Space Nine soon.
Yeah.
And this is mostly a rewatch from when it was originally on, so I've seen most of Deep Space Nine. But the next thing on the list is original series.
Okay.
And then I'll watch Continues.
Yeah, that'd be the way to do it. And, yeah, the original series shows, of course, they're going to be a little hard to watch because it was the 60s.
I'm not sure I can get through it. We'll see. I'm not giving it a good try. Like, I've talked to you about Doctor Who, where I have given it a good try and cannot get through them. The original series, I think I can do it. Because I know the characters. I love the characters.
Yeah, so, I mean, some of those can be kind of hard too. But yeah, and for Star Trek Continues, this is their last 2 episodes they're doing, and then they're done.
Okay.
I don't know what their plans are after that, but yeah, part 1 was released, and part 2 should be coming out soon.
Where does that fit in the timeline?
This would be, I suppose, like year 4 of the Enterprise's 5-year mission.
So this is...
Well, it could be year 5.
So, like, where does the motion picture fit in? Is it after the 5-year mission?
Right. So, motion picture is probably, 10 years after the original series.
Okay.
So yeah, something to watch if you got time on YouTube.
So we got really motivated because we just finished a few months ago a giant... Did I send you a picture of this? A giant Star Trek original series puzzle. So there's a really cool like collage puzzle of all the characters, a cartoon representation of all the characters from the original series, including all aliens and ships and stuff like that.
I think I have seen that. Yeah.
It's a really cool puzzle, but I felt bad. It was fun doing it, but I felt bad because like we didn't know who many of the characters were. So it'll be fun to watch the series and recognize things that were on the puzzle. So it's kind of backwards way to go about it.
It's kind of funny. The first time I went through the original series on Netflix way back when, shortly after that, see, I've got this original series trivia game, and Corey and I were playing that. I'm like, I just watched all these shows, so I'm like nailing all the questions here and there, and Corey's like, what the heck, man? It's like, dude.
Everybody has their shame, right? I think I've heard Adam Savage talk about this. Like, everybody, especially like sci-fi nerd or fantasy nerd, has these really obvious things that they haven't watched yet. Right? And for me, that's Star Trek, the original series.
Yep, you got to step up your cred.
Yeah, I have cred in other areas.
All right, then. All right, so let's go over to some movies. I guess we can start with Blade Runner. I had been asking Corey to go to the movies, since the first weekend it came out. It's been like 4 weeks now, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
And each time there was, something that was going on over the weekend, or whatever, that he just wasn't able to do it. And I tried going to Chad, and that didn't work. And we tried going last weekend, and then things got a little late, and I'm like, okay, the next showing is at like 4:15, and for Corey supposedly that was too late. I know.
So
did you go alone? Sleep schedule, no, his sleep schedule is messed up. So I drive over to Michigan for my niece's wedding, and I'm staying with Matt, and what was it, the second night I was there, Matt's like, oh, you want to go see Blade Runner? I'm like, I've been trying to go for like 4 weeks, sure. But then by the time we got done with supper, and we did have to wait around a little bit after that, but we ended up going to the 9:40 p.m. showing.
That's a long movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a
long movie.
3 hour and change movie.
And, usually I'm going to bed about 10 o'clock.
Right.
And, I get to a certain
it's not a movie that keeps you awake either.
Exactly. Oh, my gosh. There was one part where, this character, I'm getting weird feedback. This one character ends up dying, and it's kind of like a sudden thing. And I didn't realize that at the moment I was like only half awake. So when this character dies, I'm like jumping in my seat. And fortunately there was only like 2 people behind, so I'm like, okay.
So we had talked briefly about this before recording, that another one of my sort of, we can call it a nerd shame, but not necessarily.
There we go. No, we're good.
I've never really liked the original Blade Runner. I've watched it 3 times. I watched it recently, last year or something, when they announced the new movie, basically. Mm-hmm. Just to, I give myself a chance every 10 years to see if my tastes have changed. And part of it is I fall asleep almost every time. Yeah.
Same thing happened to me, because I ended up picking it up at Goodwill for like $2 or something like that. And I think it's my controller here.
Gotcha.
So I picked it up for only a couple bucks at Goodwill and went and watched it, and there's parts where I was really struggling to stay awake. and it gets down to I'm just like, for as much as people talk about this, I just don't know.
I think it's the most overrated movie of all
you
time.
may be right.
So I watch Adam Savage's podcast a lot, and he's obsessed with it, and I think it's almost like a self-feeding thing. I think he likes it because he can read into the undertones and discuss the undertones with other people, and that's why he likes it. Like, it's almost like a literary, researcher, where they're saying the color red in Catcher in the Rye represents, blah blah blah, and so you're not even enjoying the movie then. You're enjoying the discussion about the movie.
Yeah.
And so I went into the new movie feeling that way, right? Like, I don't really like the original all that much. Let's see what they do with the new one. I like Ryan Gosling. And of course, I like Harrison Ford. But, yeah, I think I like the new movie better than the original.
Yeah. I would say it was okay. The new one.
Yeah.
I probably won't see it again, but...
I still don't think it's an amazing movie, but it was, for me, better than the original. Partly because it had some maybe more transparent undertones. Like, there was a lot of criticism of his... so the main character, has a virtual girlfriend. Much like Krieger and Archer.
Yeah.
And, she's very much a slave, robot girlfriend. And so a lot of people had criticism of that. But that is really a good message of, a lot of the message of the movie is what's it mean to be human. And so I thought that was a really cool, side story on that. And the color and the cinematography and everything like that is unbelievable.
Yeah, that was good.
It's one of my complaints about the original is that even though the cinematography may be good, it's all black.
Yeah. It's
all black on black on black. It's just such a dark movie. This one had a lot of really nice color and imagery and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. All right.
My last thing about that, oh no, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh well. There was one thing I really didn't like. Oh, they made another choice. So I know you and I probably have talked about the Kurt Russell in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, or the why am I forgetting his name? The young Tony Stark. The choice to go with a CG reconstruction of these actors versus makeup. So Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. was completely CG. The Kurt Russell is partly CG, partly makeup. A young version of him. In Blade Runner, they choose to do a young version of one character. We won't spoil it.
Right.
And they chose, I think, to go just completely with a new actress and makeup. But her voice sounded nothing like the original actress. When they did a close-up, her face really didn't look all that much like her either.
Yeah. I
almost wish they had done something more, because it kind of tore me out of it.
Yeah, and I think her eye color was a little bit
it was like they shouldn't have even tried.
Yeah. There was something else I was going to say about it too, but I can't remember either.
Yeah,
well. Yeah, there's also been well, you've seen It, I presume.
have not seen It.
You've not seen It?
I have no real reason not to, except I did hear it was more of a horror movie than the original miniseries.
Yeah.
Which is not something that attracts me to it. I like the original miniseries, even though it's hokey. But
yeah. Well, it was the 80s.
Sure. I've heard good things about it.
I hadn't even seen the miniseries until a week before the movie came out.
Oh, really?
So I'm like, the DVD's been sitting here on my shelf for how long? I didn't pick it up. Sean had picked it up at some point. So I'm like, well, I'm going to watch this before I see the movie.
Tim Curry's pretty amazing.
Yeah. But it was weird, John Ritter's one of the characters.
Jonathan Brandis is in it.
Yeah. You got John Boy and and Annette O'Toole.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of. Yeah, that's what they did in the 80s. They'd do these miniseries and take all these TV actors, throw them all together.
I know. It's so funny to watch some of those old things. You see, not just TV actors, but you'll see, movie stars and these random little side roles. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I need to go see it.
And then I think it really helped that I watched the miniseries because I knew more about what was going on in the movie.
Well, the other
the little differences that are between the two.
The movie is basically half the miniseries, right? It's just the young kid version.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting who they pick for the adult versions
if they do
of
the
these
adult.
Kids.
John Ritter. It'll be good for a horror movie.
Yeah. I mean, looking at what they have for the kids now.
Oh, you can see actors that would fit.
Yeah, you can kind of see where, maybe they're leaning this way with this character and this way.
Right.
But I guess we'll see. We'll see part 2 in 2-3 years, something like that.
That's it.
And of course, there's some trailer that came out not too long ago during a Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, I already complained about trailer makers. That trailer shows way too much.
Yeah, wasn't it?
I wish I hadn't watched it.
Is it? Well, the director.
Ryan. Is this one Ryan Johnson?
Yeah, Ryan Johnson. I think when it was going to be released, this last trailer, he was even saying, well, you might not want to watch this because it gives out too much information or something like that.
This Star Wars, next Star Wars movie we were talking about, if anybody hasn't caught on by now.
Yeah.
It shows a lot of information that can really...
it could just be the way it's edited together.
Well, and that's the problem I have with trailers, is they show two people talking with each other that are probably not even talking to each other.
Right. So, yeah, I think we'll still be kind of surprised when we see.
It annoys me that the trailer kind of hinted at the thing that I've been saying all along was my predicted storyline. So my predicted storyline is, by the end of the second movie, they've converted Kylo Ren back to the light side or in the process of converting him back to the light side, to fight the Knights of Ren. Or fight Snoke. That's sort of my prediction of where it's going, and then this one hinted at Kylo Ren coming back to the light side, the trailer.
Is he going to the light,
or
is she going to the dark?
Sure. I mean, they hinted at them joining.
Yeah.
So.
But, yeah, that could just all be the way they edited it together, so you never know. And I wanted to try something new with this one, and we probably can't go into it too much, just because we're already like an hour right now. But keeping with the theme of flaming death, Flamecast, we'd pick like a controversial topic, and it would be the hot box.
The hot box. Well,
Which
we
is
are
kind of
in a
funny.
room trapped together. I can hotbox us.
You look up hotbox online, and Urban Dictionary it defines it as a room in which you're kind of trapped with someone else that's smoking. Smoking marijuana. Oh,
really? I don't know that one.
I'm like, that's interesting. Maybe we should try that someday.
Before we hotbox, if you're done with movies, there's one last upcoming movie that I'm interested in. Annihilation. Annihilation? Is that what it's called? The new Natalie Portman sci-fi movie. It's based on
I don't think I've seen it.
It's based on a Jeff Vandermeer book, who's an author I know of, but I haven't read. And the trailer's a bit... It's a good trailer. but it doesn't give a lot of away. It very much looks like Arrival, like the sort of style of the trailer and what they're aiming for and how the movie looks is almost like Arrival, where it's a discovery of a new alien thing. It's got Natalie Portman in it, so hard to go wrong with Natalie Portman. It's coming out soon, I think in the next month.
Okay. Gosh. This Friday, Thor's coming out.
I know, Thor's coming out already. I'm really curious about that. I like Taika Waititi, but for comedy. And he's already said on multiple occasions when somebody said to him, this isn't a superhero movie, this is a comedy. And he's like, yes, it is a comedy. So, I don't know how that'll go.
All the critics seem to like it already, so.
Interesting.
We'll see. As far as the hot box topic, I don't know if you've seen this, but okay, so there's been a petition out there since there has been, since we've talked last time. There had been a decision to replace who was slated for directing episode 9 and go back to J.J. Abrams. And this petition wants Disney to basically can him and find someone else.
The current choice is J.J. Abrams again, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And I'm thinking, why the hell not? Because I'm in the position where it's like, I liked Force Awakens, and I like what he did with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of reuse some parts here and there, but to me it still felt fresh and totally watchable.
Right.
So I'd like to see where he takes the characters at the end.
Right.
And obviously you agree.
Well, no, it's not that I agree.
Okay.
I think we probably agree more than some people on Force Awakens. Force Awakens, it's funny, I feel like Force Awakens is almost like an anti-Phantom Menace. So when Phantom Menace came out, the conversation right after Phantom Menace was like how amazing of a movie it was. And then that slowly declined. People slowly soured on the movie.
Yeah.
And Force Awakens, people, not everybody, but I think a lot of people were immediately very critical mostly because it followed a lot of the same storyline. And I agree, what do they call it, Starkiller Base? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was dumb. That was the dumbest part of the movie by far. Like, all the rest of the movie was great. The Starkiller Base was just stupid. And so I think it got a lot of flack for that. But I think it's been 2 years now, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like that hasn't gotten worse. In the 2 years, people haven't turned against it and said it's a terrible movie. I think most people now agree that it was a well-done movie, if not original.
Well, yeah, you look at any of these posts where they talk about it on Facebook, and it's still pretty divided. There's a lot of people out there that just rip the thing apart, and I'm like,
well,
whatever.
Those are the same people that are ripping, like, Rey apart for being a bad actress. And I think, Daisy Ridley, I think that acting in the movie her acting is unbelievable. Yeah. By far the best acting in the entire movie.
You want to see bad acting, you look at, like, Jake Lloyd.
Yeah. Jake Lloyd, Gungan, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Anakin, like, almost all of the acting, even Natalie Portman, who I love. It's not that she's a bad actress, it's just badly directed, I think.
Yeah. There was another petition that came out that they wanted Lucas to direct the last one.
Oh my God.
I'm like, really?
I mean, so I'd be curious if there was a universe we had where he could direct his movie and some other person could direct a movie, I'd be all for that, because I would love to see what his movie would look like. I don't want it to be our only episode 9.
Yeah.
But if it were a episode 9, that'd be really cool. But, so J.J. Abrams, I don't like that they're going back to the same director that's directed one. That would be my only complaint, right? Like, it'd be nice to get a... Somebody had mentioned... I can't remember who. So I had seen people talk about this before, and somebody mentioned a really good choice. And some of these are good choices are people that would never do it. Like Villeneuve, who just did Blade Runner. I think it'd be interesting to see somebody like that do a movie. Or the guy who did Ghost in the Shell, whose other movie is good. Ghost in the Shell is a piece of utter garbage. Unbelievably bad. And this is coming from an anime lover and somebody who loves Ghost in the Shell.
I haven't seen it, and I was kind of wondering how it
Oh, man, it was amazingly bad. But he did... Fifth Element, which I love.
Yeah, I can't think of...
Anyway, but getting somebody like that, somebody who's doing weird stuff, I think that might be more interesting than getting somebody who's like a old reliable, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure it won't be the two guys from the Lego movie. Since they've already been canned.
Yeah.
Solo, as they announced.
Solo,
a Star Wars story.
Oh my, that is the worst thing ever.
Well, it's like, what else would you really call it?
Find a storyline and then name the movie after the storyline. It's a shocking idea, I know. I mean, I was not the biggest fan of Rogue One, but at least the title is compelling and fitting for the movie.
Yeah.
It's funny how the response to Rogue One for me was exactly the opposite of the response to Force Awakens, and I can only think that over time that's not going to hold up.
Well, I kind of like that one too, so...
I feel like I've seen that 2 or 3 times. I've seen Force Awakens probably. And for me, that's a relatively high number of times in the amount of time since it's aired. And I've seen Force Awakens probably 4, 5 times, something like that. And for me, I enjoy myself on follow-up times with Force Awakens much more than I did with Rogue One.
Okay. So there we have the hot box.
It wasn't hot enough for you, I guess.
Well...
The mildly warm box.
Yeah. The hand warmer.
That don't look that up on. I'm sure that's something bad on. Now I want to look it up. Urban Dictionary. Hand warmer.
Erase that thought from your head. Alright, I guess it's a good time for the fan film of the month. And I can't really look this one up because I have the link to it on my computer, and since I'm recording this on my tablet, I can tell you what it is, though. This is one of the very few Star Trek fan films that I've looked at. Because most of the time you go and look up fan films and they're Star Wars or... You know, there's just... I guess there's more Star Trek out there than what I think there is, but you just don't see as much of it for some reason or another. Or at least I don't. But this one is called The Derelict, a Star Trek fan production. And the people that made this one, they've got like 2 or 3 fan films out there done with Star Trek. And this one, I think, is probably the best of the bunch. As you can kind of guess from the title of it, The Derelict. Well, they go on a derelict ship, and...
It's always fun.
Yeah.
There's not enough movies like that. I was just talking about Event Horizon with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The best derelict movie, in my opinion.
But the acting was fairly well done in this one, and the story was okay, but it wasn't really special effects driven.
Well, I was going to say, if they're going into a derelict, then they should have environments. Like, do they have sets?
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed with their different fan films. kind of look like it's just a redress of the set that they have. So
Yeah, of course.
like, well, you put that much time and effort into building a set, you want to get some use out of it. So
We watched one of the MST3Ks, I think, that we watched. The people are running away, and you see the same hallway. It's like the same hallway shot from one end
Yeah.
and then the other.
That's funny. The ultimate reuse of a set that I've ever seen in my life. And there was oh shoot, I think it was in health class in high school. So we're watching this PSA, and it was just your mind wanted to explode, because you had two characters that were visiting these people at their home, but the people that owned the home were the people that played the Cunninghams in Happy Days.
Oh, very nice.
So Tom Bosley and
Yeah.
Marion Ross. You'll never guess what the home was.
Was it the same, their place?
It was the home from the Brady Bunch.
Oh.
It was like,
oh,
boom.
Wow. That's interesting.
I'm like, I think everyone in the class had the same effect. It was just like, holy fucking Lord.
Well, that's such a signature house, too, the Brady Bunch house.
And even the, how they would show the, exterior shot of the house from like overhead, and they reused that footage
Very
too.
nice.
Yeah, that was amazing. But
There you go.
anyways, fan film
Fan
the
film
month,
of
the derelict. All right, good time for a Star Wars Kenner commercial.
It's the Star Wars Imperial Troop Transporter that you put together. Batteries not included. Stormtrooper sold separately. What's that?
It's my troop transporter. It makes 5 more sounds, too.
Aren't you dead too bad, are you?
There's the laser cannon, stun gun, and stormtrooper.
Separate stuff.
Did he say that?
Oh, Dad.
Star Wars Imperial Troop Transporter. Stormtrooper sold separately. New from Kenner.
And we're back.
Yeah, we don't... I feel like we should have classic Star Wars toys in here somewhere for... I have no Kenner toys. I never had any Kenner toys. We've talked about this. They were garbage.
Well, yeah, you compare them to today's toys, and
No, but even contemporary, like, do I want a G.I. Joe that has 7 degrees of articulation, or a Kenner Star Wars toy that has 4
right.
moving shoulders and
Hey,
legs?
the head turned
Did the
on
legs,
most of them.
Did the legs turn? Like, did the hips move?
Yeah, they moved at the hips.
Yeah. Hips and shoulders, and not even head on everybody. Yeah. That was not a good sell for me.
Yeah.
And the molded plastic was super, like, no definition. Sorry, you just watched a Kenner commercial. Now don't buy them.
One of the things that really bugged me was when any character had a cape, because it was that thin vinyl, and you always had the vinyl ripping, especially if you took the cape off and put it back on. You're just chancing.
I wonder how that stuff lasted through time, too.
Yeah.
Like, that soft plastic doesn't age very well.
No, wouldn't think so. I suppose I can give some recent Action Traction news.
Not Action Traction.
It's not Action Traction. Action Traction is now Figures in Action, if you haven't noticed, so go and check that out. Reason being that, I've got more than just Star Trek in there now, so I thought it was time for a change.
Do you remember when your first non-Star Trek... You had, very early on, you had non-Star Trek things in there.
Well, I did.
That was kind of the joke. Right?
I do have some, some of the DC figures from the Superpowers collection back in the early 90s. Maybe even late 80s. But, and I still have those figures, but, I needed something new. And really, you can't find those anymore. Well, if you do find them, you're paying a price for them.
Right.
But But you compare those figures to the figures that are out now, and
Sure.
yeah, there's just no comparison. And yeah, I even picked up a couple of figures on my trip out east here.
Speaking of amazing figures, like I feel like that changed with the now I have Seth MacFarlane stuck in my head. The Seth Spawn Seth.
Oh.
No, MacFarlane. It's
Yeah.
it's not Seth, it's the MacFarlane.
Yeah.
Anyway, the MacFarlane toys, when those came out in the 90s, were just unbelievable.
Right.
You could throw some of those into action, or into figures in action.
That's where where they became more collector's items than...
Todd MacFarlane, there it is.
Yeah, there you go. How could you forget that?
I had Seth MacFarlane stuck in my head. Yeah, it's funny that you couldn't think of it, Todd.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think I'd be able to, but... also, I did make an announcement on the website and on Facebook, but for those of you waiting for the audition, the next fan film, yeah, it's not going to happen. After 2 years, I'm finally calling it quits. Because in the end, I really wasn't happy with the story. Yeah, it kind of leads up to a punchline at the end, but I think the build up to that point is just kind of like, that's it. Because what I wanted to do was kind of do a day in the life of a fan film actor, so to speak. But in the end, things got real. I ended up getting the idea from,
Reminds me of Extras. Have you ever seen Extras? The why am I forgetting his name? Ricky Gervais show.
Oh, no.
There's a Ricky Gervais show that was, I think, 1 or 2 seasons, where he's an extra actor in Hollywood, and he interacts with all these other extras. They're always extras on the same movies and stuff like that, and it's a pretty good show.
I can't think of the guy's name now. The guy that did... God, now I'm totally drawing a blank. Troops.
Oh, I don't know his name, but...
Yeah, his name's probably going to come to me in the middle of the night, but...
Troops, like the first real fan film.
Yeah.
I should watch that.
Because I had seen him at, I think it was Celebration 2 in Indianapolis back in 2002. He was talking about another idea for a fan film he had, where it was, and maybe it's kind of connected to Troops in a way, but he was saying he wanted to do something where it was the day in the life of a stormtrooper, someone you see on screen, like TK-421,
right?
And
Kevin Rubio,
there we go.
I cheated. That's not for my brain.
So he would show the guy waking up, putting on his armor, going about his business, getting called into the...
You can go about your business.
Yeah. Going into the, the Death Star hangar where the Millennium Falcon lands, and then, he gets beat up and his armor robbed, and that's like the end of the fan film, It's kind of like and then he thought, he could do that with a few characters like that, just showed how they kind of fit in with the rest of the movie.
I want to know the story of the guy who hit his head on the doorway.
Yeah.
In the dress car. I don't know if it's an urban legend, but I heard that guy actually hurt himself, was somewhat injured from doing that.
Yeah.
It could be apocryphal, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, you might like Extras. It's a bigger scale, but similar idea.
Yeah, I'll have to
And then, did you ever read Red Shirts?
No.
Yeah, you should read that. Read Red Shirts.
Okay.
It's a fairly quick read. I know we've talked about it on maybe the first time I was ever on the podcast.
I've probably written it down before too, but
I've probably written it down like 5 or 6 times. But that's about the Red Shirts, the random people working on a starship that's effectively the Enterprise, and them realizing that they died when they went on missions, but the bridge crew didn't.
yeah.
And they like test their theories, and it's. I can't say much more than that, but it is very interesting.
All right. And one other piece. Earlier on, a few years ago, I had thought about doing audio reading of one of the fan films I had written. And I was pretty much ready to go and start looking for people to fill these reading positions and just do an audio story. And as I went through the script that I had, I'm like, I've got to make some adjustments here. Because some of it's more visual.
Right.
But, I mean, there's a lot of dialogue in there. But, yeah, some of the visual things I have to change. So, more to come on that, I guess. Because that was supposed to be part of Flamecast Theater.
Yeah, well, it's easier to do that too, right? People can do their parts individually. They don't have to be on site, things like that.
As long as the, you almost kind of want to have it at least recorded in the same location. So
For
you've
levels.
got, level consistency and such.
If you do Foley, you do background music, then you could probably even some of that out.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, depending on how this one works out, I could probably write some more, and we'll see how that goes. It'd be nice to get like at least 2 or 3 in there and see if it takes off. But...
Or just do all the voices yourself. That's always fun.
Well, let's see. How many voices do I have?
There's that author there. The books I'm pointing at that you guys can't see, Scott Sigler, kind of started on podcasting, got famous through podcasting and doing audio books for his books, and he does voices. And they're really bad. Bad in a good way, though. Like, he does all the voices for his readings of his books. And he'll do high-pitched voices, kid voices, things like that. It's pretty hilarious.
My voice is kind of dry right now, so I probably couldn't do them right now. But, I mean, I can do a little bit of Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian, George Takei.
If you ever need Kermit the Frog, just let me know. And we'll have some Kermit.
Sylvester Stallone.
I can do a lot of voices.
Gosh, who else have I done?
Or, hi everybody, it's Dr. Nick.
Gosh, I was just watching, I think it was this morning, or maybe last night. Oh, maybe one of the same. The guy that, what's his name? It's a guy in The Walking Dead that's still currently alive, as far as I know.
I'm not continuing to watch The Walking Dead, so I don't know.
But he, from Alexandria, he was the gay character.
Alexandria. I don't know Alexandria. Who's he in Walking Dead?
I can't think of his name, but anyways, he was doing like a whole bunch of impressions for this one clip for, I think it was Esquire magazine. And he's going through, I know he did a Christopher Walken, which is pretty good. Yeah, there's a few others in there where I was like, man, that's kind of like spot on. And I never took him as a guy that, could do a lot of impressions, although I haven't seen a lot of his work, so.
Whatever happened to Michael Winslow? We need Michael Winslow back.
Michael Winslow. I can't even think of who that is.
It's the voice guy from, for one, he's in Spaceballs, but he's from Police Academy.
Yep. That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him.
No, I can do a mean Dr. Nick, I can do Kermit the Frog. I can do Yoda, but only if I've watched a scene. Like, I can never pluck it from my memory, but then if I see a scene, I can do it perfectly.
Yeah, Yoda, maybe.
And I can do Marvin the Martian.
Well, as you've seen in the past, I can do Elmo.
Yes.
I can do Elmo as Yoda.
I'm trying to figure out this character that you're talking about, this actor. I want to know.
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but...
You don't know who he is in The Walking Dead?
I can't think of his character's name there. I haven't watched the show in quite a while now, so...
Yeah, I totally gave up after the baseball bat, the Lucille season premiere. That was enough.
Yeah,
I gave up.
We've talked about that.
Yeah, I gave up on that spot on the comic book too. It's just a storyline that they probably should have not carried over from the comic book.
All right.
I would love to see, actually, now that we're far enough past that, I'm not going to rehash the conversation we had about The Walking Dead, but we're far enough past that point that I'm curious to see a chart of their ratings over time and see if they recovered. I know they lost a lot of people from that, the season finale and the season premiere, and I'm curious if that's visualized on a chart, if it is a big loss, and if they recovered from it, or if it's continued to go down. I'll have to look it up.
All right. Well, I think that should do it for this Flamecast. So we've gone about an hour and a half now.
I figured in person we would probably
we
go off on tangents even more than normal.
But then we missed out on last month, so
It's true.
we had a lot of catching up.
And we got a lot of stuff coming in the next 2 months.
Yeah, that's right, we do. I've got to see The Last Jedi like 15 times before the end of the year.
Well, and
I already have my tickets for opening Friday and the next day as well.
did they already start pre-sale?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I should probably do that then.
When they released the latest trailer,
the trailer.
they also announced that advanced ticket sales start.
You know what I'm not doing this time? Well, you know what? They did that last time, too, on a football game, and didn't widely announce that tickets were on sale, which really annoys me. But last time I went to an IMAX the first time, that was a bad idea. So I'm not going to even bother doing that this time.
Yeah, I'm not a big one on IMAX.
We just got bad tickets in IMAX, and it kind of ruined the first experience of the movie.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I go look up my Walking Dead episode ratings.
Yeah, well, you do that.
About your night.
We will sign off. So that is Flamecast for this time. I am Todd Pletz.
I am and was and still am Wesley Swingley.
Yes, you are. And that's a wrap.
Later, guys.